From floor plans to 5-year plans, business to finding balance, I'm Ashley Bruggeman, an interior designer with a love for beautiful living and a belief that style and substance go hand in hand. I'm pulling back the curtain on design, resilience, and entrepreneurship. Expect real talk, refined tips, and just the right mix of polish and personality. So pour something sweet and join me for a thoughtful conversation with a generous helping of Charm and Circumstance. Welcome to Charm and Circumstance. I'm your host, Ashley Bruggeman, designer, entrepreneur, and firm believer that beautiful living and intentional living are one and the same. So today we're going to dive into a topic that gets tossed around a lot but rarely gets defined: luxury. What does it really mean in design today? Spoiler alert, it's not just marble countertops and name-droppable brands. We are going to go deeper than that. Let's go. When you hear the word luxury, what do you think of? Coco Chanel and Harry Winston and Zsa Zsa Gabor? Yachts and bottles of champagne popping and gold-trimmed everything? The old definition of luxury is synonymous with wealth and opulence and exclusivity. Luxury is thought of as elite and going well beyond meeting needs. I'm reading a book right now titled The Magnificent Lives of Marjorie Post by Alison Pataki. It's fiction, but based on the real life and history of Marjorie Post, the heiress of Post cereal, which then evolved into General Foods Corporation, and now I believe is owned by Heinz and Kraft brands. For most of her life, Marjorie was the wealthiest woman in the U.S., and she is the one who envisioned and built Mar-a-Lago. That's right, you know who did not build it. And this resort is one more thing I think of when I think of luxury. Mar-a-Lago was built to redefine luxury in the 1920s, combining Spanish and Mediterranean architecture. It was built to impress. It was built to demand attention, just like the Vanderbilt homes, notably the Biltmore, along with many other homes up and down the East Coast in that era, not to mention more current homes. But now there's a new perspective of luxury that is more personalized, intentional, sensory-rich, calming. It's less about impressing others and more about what it provides you alone. It's convenience. It's technologically advanced. It's sustainable. It can be excessive and even trend-setting. But luxury is about quality over quantity, experience over excess. This version is new to our current society, as I think the 80s and 90s pushed quantity and excess, to the point where our generation is now dealing with boomer parents who really took this to heart. So we're now left with purging out their excess. I think luxury has become more story-rich. Let me explain what I mean by this. In a world that is inundated with sales pitches of all forms, advertising that is so covert, I have no idea how many times I've come across a brand's logo every day, but guaranteed it's more than I imagined. So in order to be noticed, a brand must be different. It must appeal in a different context. And now more than ever, it's through story. Luxury is found in owning a hand-embroidered pillowcase that was purchased on a trip where you watched the woman actually embroidering other pillowcases. And the pillowcase now has a story. When a guest comes and comments on it, you'll tell them the story of your trip and how you watched this talented woman embroidering the pillows that you purchased from her. You can see how that contrasts with the machine-stitched pillowcase that you just ordered on Amazon. Not too much of a story left there. Another aspect of real luxury is quiet confidence, as opposed to shouting for attention. Luxury doesn't shout because it doesn't need to. It draws you into it. It doesn't scream, "Over here, look at me." What does scream for attention? Brand logos. We see this a lot in fashion, and thank goodness, very, very rarely in interiors. Luxury brand bags started out without bold logos on the bags. And as many of these brands have expanded into the lower price points, their logos have become larger and the focal point of the bag. Why do you think that is? Because the quality isn't there anymore. Instead of real leather, they're using a canvas stamped to look like leather. And the stitching isn't as immaculate as they've moved to cheaper manufacturing to maintain profits at the lower price points. So how do they lure in a market that is hungry for luxury? By branding the bag as much as they possibly can. It's not actually luxury, it's the look of luxury. Louis Vuitton has done it. Gucci has done a lot of this. Dior has even started doing it. And to make my point, think about the most expensive brand among handbags. I think of Hermes and the Birkin bag. And how big is the logo or the Hermes name on it? It's tiny. Why? Because it's made with real leather, immaculate craftsmanship. And of course it should be when it costs over $25,000. But you're buying it for the leather, the quality. You don't want a brand name stamped all huge across it. But back to the point here. Luxury is quiet. It doesn't loudly boast a brand name unless it's an authentic Hermes blanket, and instead communicates luxury through its quality. A beautiful textured silk wallpaper, a cashmere throw, linen drapes, no brand names, just quality materials, luxury materials. Rarely do I have an experience with a client who wants the look of luxury in terms of brands and the perception of wealth, but there are times when I do help to steer them toward defining their personal preferences, as in what brings them joy when they walk into their room. This very well could be the most expensive items, but I never want it to be the case just because it is the most expensive item. This shows a concern for what others think, and I'm focused on what the client thinks. The most expensive item does no good if it's just a fleeting trend that will look outdated in just a few years. This does no service to my client, whether they realize it or not. Which brings us to our next topic regarding luxury, psychology. Our nervous systems are craving peace, order, and softness. The world that we live in is chaos. More information is thrown at us in a single minute than humans have ever had to absorb. There's noise. There's so much noise. There's phones dinging and ringing. People are on FaceTime in public. So we're not only hearing the conversations in front of us, but we're listening to everyone else's as well. People are dictating to their phones and talking to Alexa, Siri, and Gemini. I'm assuming I can say that one out loud. Then these AI assistants are talking back. And this is all taking place inside the office, schools, the grocery, doctor's offices, inside cars that you're stuck inside with someone, planes and airports, and don't even get me started on airports. People are rocking out to their music so that everyone else around them can hear it too. Yes, I am that old woman, in case you are wondering. And then there's light. We take in so much light that our circadian rhythms are incredibly confused. Our brain is pumping out cortisol, and we wonder why we struggle to sleep at night. There are street lights and brightly lit parking lots right beside neighborhoods. There are power lights on the hundreds of devices we have across our homes, from TVs to laptops to the coffee maker. Then there's always that one person back on the airplane who turns on the overhead light to read a book during a late night flight home, even though no one else has their lights on and literally everyone else on the plane is trying to sleep. And finally, there's our phones. There is some wicked sorcery when it comes to our phones. If you've never changed your phone to be black and white only, removing all the color on your screen, so all the apps, icons, etc. have zero color, you should try it. I can promise you, you will not want to be on your phone any longer than you have to. You won't even want to be on it when you have to be. It'll take you back to the BlackBerry days. This alone proves that visual stimulation, when it comes to color and light, literally affects your brain. Our nervous systems are craving calmness. Luxury is being able to breathe in your space, not be overstimulated by it. In our Amazon world of quickly and easily being able to order just about anything we want, we are overwhelmed with stuff. I'm still blown away when I watch something on TV and an ad tells me that I just have to tell Alexa to add it to my cart. I can literally just see something, and speak the order into existence, and it'll arrive in my garage by 11 a.m. the next day. But do we really need all this stuff? I'm just as guilty as anyone, mind you. And of course, the longer you live in a home, the more stuff accumulates. At least moving requires the choice to pack something up and move it instead of getting rid of it. It's got to be the easiest way to purge that exists. But if the amount of stuff in your home is overwhelming or is a constant reminder of all the tasks that haven't been done, like sorting things and organizing things and putting things away, then the stuff is not serving you. It's not doing anything but hindering you from being able to relax in your own home. Wellness and sustainability are becoming part of the luxury conversation in a world and a country where we have allowed Wall Street to dictate the value of a life by literally allowing certain manufacturers to knowingly poison consumers. Wellness and sustainability doesn't mean going above and beyond. It simply means not using poisonous and toxic chemicals in our paints and fabrics, our building materials, and our dishes, or even our food. We spend about 90% of our time indoors, and air pollutants are 2 to 5 times higher inside and up to 1,000 times the acceptable levels in new construction. If you haven't seen the movie Black Water, add it to your watch list. It's a true story about the DuPont Corporation who developed the non-stick Teflon pan. But in order to create that non-stick Teflon, they had to use a chemical that was poisonous to animals and humans. And they knew it. They literally knew what they were doing. So they put a trade name on the chemical so that it was even more difficult to figure out what was going on in case anyone came digging. Just FYI, their trade name of the chemical is C8. The actual chemical is known as PFOA. The human body, and clearly animals as well, cannot break this chemical structure down, so it stays in the body forever. It was in the wastewater from the factory, and the surrounding livestock were all being poisoned and dying. And then the people in the surrounding area who were now drinking the water that had been poisoned from this plant were getting all forms of cancer and dying. It took the U.S. nearly 50 years to outlaw the use of this chemical. It wasn't officially outlawed until 2014. It's now globally banned under the Stockholm Convention from 2019, but it's a process, so it's not completely gone everywhere in the world just yet. A beautiful space isn't luxurious if it's unhealthy for you, uncomfortable, impractical, or even makes you afraid to live in it. Meaning, if you have young children or teenagers for that matter, who just can't help themselves when it comes to eating everywhere in your house besides the kitchen, resulting in spills and stains on the furniture, the blankets, the pillows, the carpets, and even the walls, then yes, your luxury is defined a bit more by the durable products. So instead of an actual grass cloth wallpaper, you would be better served by using a vinyl wallpaper that is textured to look like grass cloth. It's still a beautiful wallpaper, but it's luxury because it serves your particular needs in both aesthetics and durability. I once worked on a commercial project where they had pretty terrible air quality issues due to the growth of mold and mildew in some really moisture-rich areas of the building. And it added to the fact that some of the materials used within those spaces allowed for the moisture content to be absorbed and trapped, basically just creating a nightmare. So the solution from an interior design perspective was to use the appropriate materials in the space that wouldn't allow for the absorption of any moisture, and one where the bacteria died off on its own on the surface of the material because it was non-porous. So we're not going to go any further into those types of details. I only mention it because it's an example of switching out one material that has a reputation for being the more luxurious option, but doesn't perform well at all. And instead of contributing to these air quality issues with another material that not only prevents these issues, but also helps to maintain a healthier environment. And that is the definition of luxury in this space. Clean surfaces to touch and clean air to breathe. At Ashley Morgan Interiors, we design for how our clients want to live, Their desired aesthetic is an integral part of the design process. However, the need to achieve how they want to live is priority. So maybe you're thinking, well, what exactly does that mean? So I'll take a wild guess and imagine that if I asked you how you want to live, you might tell me something like, I don't want to see the kids' papers from school and the mail piled up on the kitchen counter anymore. Or I don't want to walk into my bedroom and see clothes or things piled up on a chair. Or even, I want guests to walk in my door and be able to sit down comfortably in the front room to talk without visibility to the kids' things and the mess left in the kitchen from last night. This is what starts the schematic design process, where the most basic needs are taken into account. Sightlines, privacy needs, storage needs, and more. That means custom casework designed around their routines, upholstery that feels as good as it looks, and materials that age beautifully. Luxury, for one client, might mean a gorgeous scullery, while for another, it's a hidden charging drawer or heated bathroom floor. Luxury really becomes the solution to whatever the client's biggest pain point happens to be. Of course, luxury can also take on aesthetics like a home full of color, whether it's wallpaper or bold paint colors in every room, or details like tassel trims on drapes and pillows, or multiple levels of lighting with the use of chandeliers and sconces and lamps and pendants. Luxury isn't a style, it's a standard. It's intentionality, craftsmanship, and comfort. It's unique and personal to each home, to each person. Which brings me to ask you, what is luxury to you? Is it the ability to take a bath in a large clawfoot tub every evening before bed? Is it a walk-in pantry that's meticulously organized with matching containers and space for all your small appliances? Or is it simply clearing away the clutter and having adequate storage so that your house feels settled and in order? What makes you feel calm, taken care of, or inspired in your home? That's where the real design magic begins. So if you're flipping through Pinterest or Instagram and wondering, is this what luxury looks like? Pause and instead ask yourself, is this what luxury feels like to me? Luxury isn't something you chase. It's something you create with clarity, with care, and with courage to go beyond trends. Thanks for joining me today. I hope this gave you a fresh perspective and maybe even a little permission to rethink what luxury means in your own life. If you enjoyed this episode, I would love for you to subscribe, to leave a review, and share with someone who could use a little design inspiration with depth. You can find me on Instagram at Ashley Morgan Interiors and follow the podcast at Charm and Circumstance. Both are linked in the show notes. I'll see you next time, beautiful friend. Thanks for joining me on Charm and Circumstance. Be sure to subscribe, leave a review, and follow along on Instagram, because charm is personal and circumstance is what you make of it.